Let's talk about Kesha's new song and her use of cars as a symbol throughout her discography. You've heard Yippee you know it's giving recession pop, it's giving early Kesha, and that is not by accident. Blah, 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 TikTok, take it off. All of these songs, big party hits, and all of them mention cars. Blah, blah, we get a little reference to put a little love in my glove box, as well as think you'll be getting this, nah, 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 not in the back of my car. TikTok saying drop top and playing our favorite CDs, looking like pimps in my new Trans Am. Animal, the car is very much a part of the party. It carries into her second album, Cannibal, we're selling our clothes, sleeping in cars in We Are Who We Are. But the first major song about a car that we get from Kesha comes on her album Warrior, Gold Trans Am, super fun, super hot, super raunchy. Also a reference to freedom in the song. We get the lyric, gonna take you for a freedom ride. I want you to remember that. So this album was released in 2012, which is relevant because in 2011, a lawsuit against Dr. Luke that didn't have to do with Kesha unearthed the fact that Kesha had been saying things to her friends and family and close ones all the way back since 2005 about Dr. Luke, saying like, hey, this guy ain't it, this guy has made some inappropriate advances against me, etc. So that stuff between Kesha and Dr. Luke actually like became an official legal thing, not because Kesha reported it, but because it got dug up in other legal proceedings. In 2011, a year before this album is released, Kesha swears under oath that Dr. Luke has never made any sexual advances at her, essentially testifies for him in court. You can kind of assume that what was happening here is that Dr. Luke was saying, hey, you're gonna testify and say nothing ever happened between you and me because I hold your career in the palm of my hands. So freedom, yeah. Starting to be something we're thinking about. I can get into all the details of Kesha's lawsuit with Dr. Luke in a different video if that's something that you guys want to see. In the meantime, I'm just going to say that her album Rainbow and her album High Road were both still released under contract with Kemosabe Records. Dr. Luke was still profiting off of these albums. In 2019, Kesha releases the song Rich White Straight Men, which usually like gets kind of swept under the rug. It's kind of spooky, creepy, haunted house music, but there's a really interesting lyric in it. Look at this. And if you were a lady, then you own your lady parts, just like a man goes to a dealership and then he owns a car. She is referring to like her body being owned the same way that a man owns a car. In Rainbow, she doesn't really talk about cars. But in High Road, now we're starting to see car metaphors again. We're starting to see the idea of a road, right? We're driving again. We get the song Tonight on the album High Road, which is honestly one of the biggest like party Kesha songs that we've gotten in a long time. So it's very exciting, but we're not seeing the same kind of car references that we've seen from her in past party songs. When we do mention cars, we're calling an Uber, which in the metaphor of it all, feels very like Kesha in the back seat of her own life instead of driving her own car. Almost feels like she's talking to herself, like convincing herself to go out again. October 2014 to June of 2023. That is how long Kesha was in legal proceeding. Finally, she releases the album Gag Order. It is her last album under Kemosabe Records. She is free to make her